Welcome to the 6th episode of Accessibility Now, stories about accessibility in Georgia. Accessibility Now is a podcast produced by the statewide Independent Living Council of Georgia. I'm your host, Desi Gillespie, and today we're taking a look at disABILITY Link, the Center for Independent Living, or CIL, serving Metro Atlanta. Atlanta is the largest city in Georgia and one of the most populous metropolitan areas in the Southeast. So far, we've spoken to a lot of rural or small town CILs on the challenges they face. For disABILITY Link, their challenges are very different. Enabling people with disabilities to live independently in an area with a higher rent and a higher cost of living often means training them to support themselves, or educating them on how best to take advantage of government programs like SNAP. We spoke to disABILITY Link Director Kim Gibson on their approach to empowering their consumers.
So we take a look at it from several different angles. So we start with job readiness, work readiness, and career paths for students or young adults from the ages of 14 to 22 that's in the school systems or just in that age range. So we go out to the schools and we have a curriculum that we utilize that's based upon a peer support view. And so we share experiences, we talk about social skills, building social skills, work etiquette, looking at career paths that you may want to do, what that means as far as budgeting and everything that goes along with adult life that relies on employment or having an income to be able to support themselves. We do that also during the summertime. Now, in that age range and up to the age of 29, we work with young adults with that kind of curriculum, with that kind of summer programming. We also do some internships, and we look for paid internships for job sampling for individuals to be able to test out what they think they might want to do in their future. I don't know about you, but for me, I changed my job 3 or 4 times in my lifetime. So it's what you think you're wanting to be at the age of 18 may totally look different by the time you're my age, 55. But what we provide here is job readiness. And we host what we call LEAPs, Locating Employment Avenues Through Peer Support. And we have a curriculum that kind of rotates, and they get a certification after that saying that they're ready for the workplace. We do things, soft skills training on, etiquette, workplace, being on time to work. We do resume building, where to look for, where to find jobs, what to look for, what's a scam, all those kind of things that come along with workplace. And then we have different levels. So we have, once they reach that, they may go into an apprenticeship. It may be unpaid or paid. We work with a group of employers in order to place them in real jobs, real careers. And so that's an internships. We also host a lot of students from different universities and colleges. Georgia State University, Kennesaw State, University of Kentucky, Fort Hays University. So we have a lot of MOUs with different colleges with our focus of being people with disabilities that need these internships. Although we do accept people without disabilities because it's so important to understand disabilities from a social work perspective, for instance. So we host social work students, we host educational students, and we host occupational therapy students.
Sometimes, local employers are hesitant to hire someone with a disability. But through a partnership and internship program, disABILITY Link trains both employers and employees in how to have the best relationship possible.
So number one, we do host our own, what we call DILENA, disABILITY Link Employment Network Association, where employers get together and meet for quarterly. And then we have a quarterly employers training where we encourage employers to come learn about different topics with rights and benefits. And we also work closely with EOC. The best examples to give for common things. I went to a local restaurant and they said, "Oh, we'd love to do an internship. Maybe they can be bus people and we can create that job." I said, whoa, you don't have to create a job for a person with a disability. You don't change essential job functions for a person with a disability. Just like anybody, are they able to do the job with or without support? Not changing the essential job function. So if they're a waiter, whether they're a wheelchair user or not, can they meet the essential job functions of taking down that job task? And she's like, "Well, how would somebody in a wheelchair be able to take someone's order?" And I said, "Well, just like anybody else, except for they use an assistive device, which is the wheelchair." And she, and that's many times the mindset that gets there. Oh, if I have a wheelchair, how am I going to have them sit at this desk? If I get this wheelchair, will it run over somebody else? If they're blind, what am I going to have to do? Hire somebody to sit by them and tell them what's there? All those kind of things. If they're mental health, am I going to have to put up with them going off in the middle of the day and not showing up to work? So all those kind of questions are often seen from employers, not really understanding what the accommodation process is, having the discussion, and not trying to fix the individual's job to meet what they think that the person with the disability needs. So it can take a couple different routes. Some just you can see from their face like, "Oh my gosh, this is too much." But we tangle that little, you have an employee for free for 3 months that you don't have to pay for, and you can test drive it per se. And usually I would say we have a high rate of job placement when we do that. Our job placement is probably about 95%, somewhere around there, that they stay within the jobs. I contribute that to having to go through the workshops in order to get to where they're ready to be an employee. We have had, and I don't really consider this a failure, the employee gets there and says, "It is not something that I can do. I thought I could, but I can't," and we've had people do that. And that's really great because they've tried, but it's just not something that they can really do right now, not at this point in their life, whether it's their health reasons or being able to just being able to work and being around people related to their disability.
But holding a job is just one aspect of living on your own in a big city like Atlanta. The process of becoming independent is a holistic one, as Kim explains in this example.
So a while back, probably 9 years ago, we had an individual come in here who was living in her car. She had mental health issues, mental health diagnoses, and did not have a job. So when she came in, the first thing she says is, "I need a job so that I can find a place to live." So we sat down, we worked with her on our goals, and she identified first she needed to get support with her medication to even be able to hold down a job. So the goal was, for health, for personal care. And we supported her in looking at the resources and she was able to find a doctor. But in that process, we helped her apply for different benefits she was eligible for that provided food and nutrition, that provided Medicaid at that point for her, that provided, helped her apply for Social Security disability, all those different rights and benefits and resources she didn't know about, didn't know how to apply for. So we supported her in that and then moved towards the housing. Well, you have to have a job to get a housing, or you have to have funding. Now we worked with her, and initially the individual was placed in, or she was able to find temporary support to live in a shared housing unit. And then through the process, we helped her with signing up for Georgia Voc Rehabilitation that offered a little bit more supports for her. Then she went through the employment, and she was faithful. She went through everything she needed to do in order to apply for jobs. And our criteria for the internship, you need to show that job readiness and being able to be willing so that we can support you in placing you in an internship, but we need to see some kind of commitment first. So we were able to place her in a national organization, and she went through it. And I forgot to mention this individual happened to have a master's degree too. And so we support her in getting this job, this internship. The internship allows the employer to say, give 3 months to kind of, say, oh, this is a great fit. And also to educate the employer along the way of, the accommodation may not be no cost to you. It might be just a little bit of flexible hours, or it might be, during the day you have an extra long break just to be able to emotionally be ready or mentally be ready. So she was placed there, and fast forward to now, she makes double what I make and a management position, and doing very well. And, she owns her own home, and which is another thing. We hold home buyers workshops so that individuals have the opportunity to go ahead and go through those classes to get approved for loans, to see what they need to do to get approved for loans and looking for housing and stuff. So all that all together encompasses one person's needs. So each individual that comes through the doors may only need one area. I just need employment. That's all I need. But many times it affects more than that. People don't have food. We are a SNAP outreach partner, so we can support people with applying, and we can help them through the system. Even if we weren't, we could still support them through looking at how to apply for those benefits. But all that, everything, we have health and wellness programs. So somebody that might be coming in and be really stressed, benefits of exercise and what you can do for overall holistic well-being.
Disability Link has relationships with local restaurants, AARP, the CDC, and other social services organizations. Whatever a person's disability or their comfort level, there's a lot of options to choose from. It's not just about the money, though of course that is important. The goal is to find jobs that people want and that they can feel good about doing.
Once a year, we host a job fair. And the last couple of years, we've been virtually and in person. In person is usually always the best option, but we bring in employers to provide, to hire people right on the spot. And so then we have employees that they prepare. We work with them in our work readiness to bring their resumes forward so that when they meet with these employers, that they have that opportunity to be employed. So we've had people from Amazon, and just a wide variety of different kinds of employers. Domino's, it's a wide range, from technical to educational kind of jobs, from line staff to management kind of jobs. So it's when we're talking about job placement, we're not talking about let's place them at this place that's below their education and no interest to them. If somebody walks in and they say, I want to work at McDonald's, that's the goal that they're wanting to do. That's what they're wanting to do. Now, along our job readiness, we also look at budgeting and what that means to be able to afford different things and stuff like that. But if somebody comes in and they say, I want to be an executive director, and they have no job experience. We talk about that need of experience and stuff, but we don't say to them, you can't be an executive director. People have the right to succeed and they have the right to fail. So if they go out and they apply for executive directors and they're like, we've applied, but I'm not getting any responses. And we say, what are they looking for? And then we'll go through and they're like, oh, maybe I'm not ready for an executive director. And then we talk about the steps to take, that you may have to start here in order to get here. Do you have the education that's required? And kind of balancing that out. So it's instant gratification world right now. And so students with and without disabilities come out of high school expecting these $50 an hour jobs and to be a manager after 1 month, and that's not the real world. And so it is a training and educational venture for those students. And then some people are navigating a disability for the first time in their life. They acquired a disability because of an accident or because of an illness or whatever. It showed up later in life, whatever their experience is. So sometimes it's they've worked before, but now they have a disability and maybe a traumatic brain injury and they can't remember different things. And so how do they go back to doing what they want, or can they even do that anymore? And so it's a process. It's more than just, hey, I want a job. And we say, here's a job. We're looking for people to be able to be placed in real careers, real jobs that they want, and not just placed.
Consumer Elise Mosley was a volunteer at Disability Link, and while she was there, she started participating in the SIL's job readiness programs. Now, after training and an internship, Elise has a job, and she's going to school.
I'm 61 years old. I was a housewife. I wasn't doing anything. I was just laying around the house. I had polio. Feeling sorry for myself. Disability Link kind of woke me up. I love Disability Link. They connected me with the AARP and vocational rehab, and I had a success with both. I'm going through AARP working for DeKalb County Health Department, and I'm going to school through VR at Work Solutions. I'm a receptionist. So I had success from them. I really did. Getting out of the house, having a little extra money, meeting people, I feel real good. I really do.
Elise went out on a limb, stepped out of her comfort zone, and now she's happy at a new job. It's not just employers who can be hesitant in this situation. Sometimes family members, or even the consumers themselves, can be unsure of their own abilities. Again, that's where Disability Link can step in.
We're kind of like an advocate, right, to employers and to communities. It might even be to teachers. It might even be to parents, because sometimes it's the parents that's a barrier, afraid that their child, who's now an adult, can't handle a job. And so, no, don't, what happens if they go off Social Security disability? What happens to that? And they can't handle that. So it's an educational, it's an advocacy, it's peer training, it's peer support, it's skills training, it's all of it, all combined up into one nutshell. My takeaway for anybody with or without a disability is individuals need the support and the education to apply for whatever they're doing. And by education, I mean by knowing the skills of how to apply, where to look to apply for. And then basically, a person with a disability is applying for employment. And you should be looking at their skills rather than their disability.
Thanks, Kim, and thanks to everyone at Disability Link. That's where we'll end today's episode, our 6th episode of Accessibility Now. For more information on Disability Link and their programs, you can visit disabilitylink.org. That's disabilitylink.org. And thank you for listening to Accessibility Now, stories about accessibility in Georgia. Accessibility Now is a podcast produced by the statewide Independent Living Council of Georgia. If you want to find out more about that organization, you can visit us at silcga.org. That's silcga.org. This has been your host, Desi Gillespie, and I just want to close by reminding you that a Georgia that includes everyone is better for all of us.